Jennifer Horawski. I'm a PGY1 Family Medicine Resident in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I just matched this past year, and I'm just doing a video about the match process and getting your applications ready. So initially making your list, I definitely recommend using Match a Resident to narrow your list down. You can plug in your step 1 score and step 2 score, as well as any type of visas that you might require. I use that to help me generate a list of programs that I wanted to apply to. And then from there, I made an Excel spreadsheet with that information, and started filling in the programs that I was actually planning on applying to, programs that I knew I'd be competitive at. And I used Match a Resident to help with that. So I made that list, and then I applied to my programs based off of there. Now, for your application process, you need several parts, obviously. Your CV, your letters of recommendation, and your personal statement. For your personal statement, I highly recommend having a theme for your personal statement, and building your statement around there. I was told, and I would pass on to you guys, that you should put in your personal statement stuff that's not on your CV or your resume. So patient encounters that show what you're trying to talk about in your personal statement. So for me, I wanted to talk about patient connections and communications. So I added in patient interactions that showed that I can build connections with my patients and make that longevity relationship with them, since that's what was important in my personal statement to me. So that's what I recommend for your personal statement. Come up with a theme which you want your personal statement to showcase, and then think about a few different patient interactions that you'd be able to use to show a program director or associate program director exactly why you think you are really great at building patient connections, or really great at coming up with differential diagnoses and things like that. And then from there, you can develop your beginning and your ends to your personal statement. And I suggest sending your personal statement to somebody that you trust and you know will give you good, solid advice to critique your personal statement, and go from there. As for your letters of recommendation, I recommend, the way I did it was I asked towards the beginning of my rotation if that, I was interested in family medicine and I was really looking for a letter, and if I worked with this specific attending, whether at the end I'd be able to ask them for a letter of recommendation. And halfway through that rotation, I would ask them, how have I been doing? I'd be asking for feedback, if there was things that I could improve on. And then at the end, of course, asking them if they could provide me with a strong letter of recommendation. Generally, they asked for my CV and my personal statement, which I obviously sent their way. And then also in that email, I brought up like a patient encounter, something that we had that I really remembered and I had a great experience with, and something that stuck in my mind, so that when they read that email, they would remember who I was. Other than that, your CV, I used the book, The Successful Match. It's a little brown book, and I heavily used that for my cover letter, adding in my volunteer experience, jobs, and what else did I add into it? Oh, professional society memberships and posters I've done. I added all of that into my CV on ERAS. And I thought the Successful Match did a really good job of giving you examples of how to word things in your CV to make it sound better than just saying I was a lifeguard. As for what to include in your CV, I would include anything from college onward, nothing from high school, and go from there. And then I would also send that to a mentor or a friend that you trust to read over. Other than that, then it's inputting your stuff onto ERAS and actually hitting submit to get ready for interview season. I know things are going to be a little different this year. Things will be done virtually, which makes it a little bit more interesting. But what I did to prepare for interview season was I just wrote out a bunch of lists of questions that programs might ask. That was also in the Successful Match, and questions that I just came up with on my own. So, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What was your favorite rotation? And I made a huge Excel document of those. And then I answered each of those questions in my Excel sheet, knowing that obviously I wasn't going to be able to reproduce exactly what I wrote in my Excel sheet, but it at least allowed me to think about the questions beforehand. It allowed me to reflect on my basic sciences, my third year, and part of my fourth year of medical school. So when I had my questions during interview season, it wasn't the first time I was trying to think what was a difficult situation I was in and how I could handle it differently. I'd at least thought about it before, and I had an answer formulated before I went into interview season. Anyways, I hope these tips and tricks help. And if you guys need anything, please feel free to connect with me on social media. Thanks, guys. Bye.